Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Daniel Hendrick Experience. I'm super glad you're here this evening with me. Tonight we have an up-and-coming tenor by the name of Anthony León. Recently, he won first prize in the Plácido Domingo Ferrer Zarzuela Prize in Operalia 2022, and he has also been a winner of the Metropolitan Opera La Font Competition Western Region in 2023 and received a career development grant from the Sullivan Foundation. Coming up soon, he will open the LA Opera 2023-24 season performing the role of Don Ottavio in Don Giovanni, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in that. This young man's voice is so beautiful, so lyric and free. Reminds me in some ways of Juan Diego Flores. So we are looking forward to having him on. And without any further ado, let's bring him in. Stay with us. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Daniel Hendrick Experience, interviewing internationally renowned opera singers from around the world. And as promised, we have this young superstar to be with us today from my old neighborhood in Southern California, the Inland Empire, Riverside area. This young man by the name of Anthony León. Mi hermanito, mucho gusto, gracias por tu presencia.
Muchas gracias, un placer. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, really.
So, dude, I can't believe we're from the same area. I mean, opera singers are not exactly bred out of that area.
That's right, yeah. I know, being from the Inland Empire is like, whenever you meet someone else from there, it's kind of like, wow, you made it out too? Like, nice to hear from you, yeah.
Excellent, brother. Well, you know, it's fascinating to people to hear and to see what inspired you to become an opera singer. What was the process that enabled you to be what you are today? Can you tell us that story a little bit?
Sure, no problem, no problem. It's kind of a story that I really love to tell, to be honest, because um, I'm also fascinated by the stories of singers, and what's beautiful about this profession and the music world is that everybody has a different path to being a professional musician, being a professional singer. And so mine was definitely unique as everyone else's. And um, it really started, uh, it all started when I was born. But it really did because my family is a very strong musical family. I grew up with my parents being singers and multi-instrumentalists. My mother is a soprano, my dad's a tenor, and yeah, exactly. And they play the piano. They play. My mom plays flute. My dad plays saxophone, clarinet. You know, violin, accordion, anything. My dad's from Cuba. My mom from Colombia. And on my mom's side, she has four brothers, and they're all doctors, including my parents. They're in medicine. My mom's a psychotherapist. My dad was a PA, physician assistant, and he's in hospital administration now. But my mother has four brothers, and they are all operatic tenors, all of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So I
This
grew up in this unique kind of nest, you know.
this sounds a bit like Placido Domingo's journey of growing up with a musical family and
Yeah.
becoming an opera singer. So what happened?
Yeah.
What happened then?
Right. So I grew up in this family, and then I have many other cousins, family, uncles, etc. That everybody does something, everybody plays something, and so we would I grew up going on the weekends to uncle's house, and we'd eat great Colombian or Cuban food, whatever, and we'd sit at the piano afterward, and we sing Spanish songs, Italian arias, whatever it was, and so for me, it was very natural. I don't know life without music or opera in particular, actually. The three tenors were always playing. Placido Domingo, you mentioned him. He was the idol of my family. Like, I kind of feel like he's long lost uncle of mine because he was always at home. He was always at home in the living room playing. And so I was the 2 year old that could sing La Donna Immobile in Italian. Like that's that's how I grew up, and I would do it. I would like they would take me to the mall, and I would just burst out into song when malls used to have those pianos, and so I was, stand by the Nordstrom and sing, and it would draw a crowd because I was a 2 year old that could sing Italian arias.
Amazing.
Um, but for some reason, which I think I have to sort it out more with a therapist, but I think that when I got to the age of like 3 or 4, I didn't really like the attention, perhaps, that being a 2 year old that could sing Italian arias gave me. So I didn't really want to sing anymore. I don't know. I was like embarrassed to sing. And so my mom, she put me in piano lessons at 4. And at 11 years old, I picked up the saxophone as well, and I took lessons in that. But the music was always a part of my life. I could never get rid of it. I remember being in junior high and early high school, and while everybody was sleeping, I'd come up to my room to study, and I would tell my parents, "Oh, I'm just gonna be there doing my homework. Don't worry about me." And I would go into the closet, and I would turn on the three tenors again. I would go to wherever YouTube, or I had like iTunes, and I would put on their music videos and stuff,
Mm.
whatever. And I would play it, and I would try my best to sound like them. I would just sing along with them and imitate them. And I did that for years because I didn't want my parents, my mom, to find out that I sang, because if she did, I know that she would have put me into voice lessons because she always knew that I could sing, but I didn't want to go to voice lessons. She tried once to bring me to voice lessons, and I hated it. I couldn't stand it.
Mm.
And she'd bring my little brother for support, and I'd beat him up or make him cry or whatever it was, just to avoid having to stay in there. But I always loved the music. The music called me. And in high school, I joined finally like choir, and then it kind of reduced. And my friend had an octet, and so I joined that. And then I was doing quartets and then duos. And then finally, by the time college came around,
Wow.
I told my parents that I wanted to do pre-medicine, but my major was going to be music. So, and they were like, "Oh, music, that's great. You can play the piano, or you can do a degree in saxophone or whatever." And I was like, "No, I think I want to do it in voice." And they were like, "What? But you don't sing. What are you talking about? You never sung. What are you talking about doing it in voice?" And I said, no, but I think it's now or never. If I need to do it now, if I'm ever going to do it, and I've always felt like I need to do it.
It's now
And
or
so then,
never.
exactly, exactly. And so I started college for pre-medicine in Riverside at La Sierra University. But by the second quarter of biology, actually by the first quarter, I was failing biology, and all I could think about was going to the practice room and spending hours there singing, learning music. That's what I wanted to do. I was crazy about it. That's the only thing I could think about.
Mm.
And for me, it was some of also the right people came into my life. I did a master class for a tenor. He was an alumni there, and he sent me this message that I will never forget. His name is Randy Bills, and he sent me a message that said, "Listen, if you have a plan for your life, fantastic, do that. But if you don't, I think you can do this seriously if you wanted to, for real." And
Hmm.
that just got the gears grinding. And by the second, third quarter of my first year in college, I was a 100% music student, vocal performance, and the rest is history. Yeah.
And who was your main vocal instructor?
My first teacher, which I didn't take a lesson till I was 18, till I went to college, basically. But my first teacher was Javier Gonzalez, who was my cousin, actually, who is my cousin. Um, he was my first teacher, and he was a tenor too, and so he really helped me to know repertoire, to know style, stagecraft as a tenor. You know, he really opened that up for me. Um, so I studied with him in my undergrad, and I went after I graduated my undergrad. I went to New England Conservatory in Boston, and I studied with
Mm.
Bradley Williams, who
Hmm.
is still my teacher now. I see him from time to time. I just talked to him yesterday, actually, and he really opened up my voice even more to what it is now, I think. But really, my voice teachers were Luciano Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, and Jose Carreras. You know, I
Hmm.
by the time I got to college, I think I already had developed a lot of what my sound is now, and I owe it to just imitating them. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's a great way to go about it. Imitate the greats, and then you see where your voice ends up, right, as a result of that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, tell everybody where you are right now. Folks, if you're wondering why there might be a little delay, he's in Europe right now. What city are you in?
That's right. Yeah, I apologize for the internet here, but I'm here in Salzburg, Austria. I'm here, part of the Young Singers Project at the Salzburg Festival, and I'll be here for a couple months. And before this, I was in Aix-en-Provence in France. So I'm spending all summer in Europe. It's been fantastic.
Wonderful. And I read about you that you're also a graduate of the Santa Fe Opera Apprentice Program, which I did as
Yes.
well many, many years ago.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that program's been there a long time, and so many amazing singers have gone through there.
Yes.
Um, it
Absolutely.
was really a pleasure, an honor to be there. A couple of years, couple summers.
And I understand that recently you won first place in the Operalia. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. Yes, I last October I went to Riga, Latvia, and participated in the Operalia competition, and I was very fortunate, very grateful to win first place and the Zarzuela award over there. It was a dream come true, really.
Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a little listen to this young tenor's voice, and we'll be right back after that. Savoir tandis sonore comme un chant de ramier. Une nuit enchanteresse divin ravissement au souvenir charmant, folle ivresse de rêve. Ô clarté des étoiles, je crois encore la voir entr'ouvrir si l'on voile au vent tiède du soir. Ô nuit enchanteresse Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that is a demonstration of the art of bel canto. Bravo.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank
Wow.
you.
That's delicious, bro. Wow.
Thank you.
Did you
It's a pretty song,
always
ain't it? Yeah.
did you always have that extension on the top like that?
Not not always, I'd say, because I think when I had my voice change in high school, I kind of lost my high notes. I developed a really like stronger middle voice and low voice. Um, for being not a heavy tenor, I think I have that part of my voice pretty strong, but that came back for sure later, and I got my high notes back. And I've always had, you know, um, some facility with the high notes, at least enough that I can sing them and not have to worry. But just enough, yeah.
It's pretty fantastic. And do you view that as in some ways mixing with falsetto or head voice? How do you view what it is that you're doing up there?
Yeah, well, in that recording in particular, I was that aria is incredibly difficult to sing because of how how subtle and how delicate it is. There's so much nuance in there, and it's deadly. It could be like a minefield. And so I took inspiration from the recordings of Nikolai Gedda and Alfredo Kraus, and Nick, two different, completely different ways of singing it. Nick does more, even more of the head voice kind of mixing, and Alfredo Kraus sings it with all of his chest voice completely connected. And so I thought there must be some way to sing this for me that it makes it that I can sing it. I can sing it delicately in piano, but not have to go completely into head voice. And so that's what I tried actually for the first time, really, at Operalia, because I couldn't really sing that aria until like 2 weeks before the competition. I was still trying
Mm.
to figure out how to do it, and it's bad. It's bad sometimes, but I tend to be kind of a risk taker, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sing this aria if it kills me. And about a couple weeks before, I was listening to these recordings I mentioned, and it kind of clicked. Like, oh, I can navigate this really intentional and really smart like Gedda and still shine like Kraus. And so that was what I tried to do. And Operalia was really kind of the first time I sang it like that in public, like in front of anybody, really. So it was a crazy, crazy time. Even now,
Mm.
I feel like I sing it much better.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a risk that I took singing that aria, and it paid off. Yeah,
Welcome to being a tenor, my friend. Yes. You have to be a risk taker.
yeah.
Good. Well, it sounded like you had been singing it forever.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that.
And I'm a voice teacher now, and I'm telling you, listening to that, I'm like, this guy is singing really free, really easy, really healthy, and that's how you have a long career. So I saw on your resume that you're
Thank you.
going to be doing Don Ottavio coming up as well. That's a great role for your voice.
Thank you. Yes, I'll be doing it coming up actually in a couple months. I'll be singing Don Ottavio and making my role debut and really principal artist main stage debut at LA Opera. And we'll be opening up the season there with Don Giovanni, and I get to sing Don Ottavio. I'm
Mm.
super, super excited about that. It's
And
like a dream come true.
I'm sure that role, after hearing you sing this, that role probably feels low to you.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I think that role has its own challenges, but yeah, much lower than the Pro Fishers.
I sang one production of Don Ottavio in Bonn, Germany. It was my debut. And after I got through with that debut, I said,
Wow.
I'm never singing that role again. Puccini was more my style, you know. So I'd say
That's right. That's good. That's good.
God bless you if you can do those roles because they're not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mozart, it's funny being in Salzburg. I feel like he's all around me, but Mozart, people listen to it and think, "Oh, that's such a beautiful, simple melody," but it'll kill you. It'll whoop you
Mm-hmm.
if you're not
Mm-hmm.
if you're not careful with it. It makes boys out of men. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's really funny. Have you thought of Die Zauberflöte maybe in your future as well?
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. I sang Tamino once in undergrad.
Okay.
Not the whole thing. It was a lot of it was cut, but I had a fantastic time singing it, and I would sing it again. I think Tamino's an interesting role because it depends on how people want to hear Tamino. Some people hear him as a much more German held in tenor sound, and some people might think of him as more of a lyric Italian sound, and so.
Mm-hmm.
If depends how people are hearing it, but if they want me to sing it, I'll sing it. I would love to sing Tamino.
You could definitely. And you know, Fritz Wunderlich's version of that was just so
Yeah.
astounding. Have you heard that?
Oh my gosh. Yes, of course. Fritz is one of my favorite tenors. He's in my top five, easy.
Mm.
I love Fritz Wunderlich.
So I was singing that
Anything
role.
Mozart that he sings is incredible.
Yes. Um, Even his Granada is incredible in German.
Oh, really? I don't know if I've heard that. I'm gonna have to take a listen after
Oh
this.
my goodness. With a high C at the very end of it,
In
too.
German.
In German, yes. So, folks, check that out if you get a chance. Fritz
Amazing.
Wunderlich singing Granada. Well, years ago, I was singing Die Zauberflöte with the famous conductor Richard Bonning, and we had the same agent at the time.
Fantastic.
And the first rehearsal, he looked over at me, and this had been the first time I met him, and he said, Daniel, can you please grab your score? And I said, sure. He said, can you read what it says? And I said, Die Zauberflöte, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And he said, well, I could have swore it said Otello Giuseppe Verdi by the way you're singing it.
That's hilarious. Oh my
So
God.
that was pretty
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody has a good conductor story or two.
right. So,
Like I said, but it depends on how people want to hear Tamino. I think it's like a very particular and subjective thing. Some people want to hear, maybe a more Otello sounding
mhm,
Tamino, within the bounds. But I think, it depends how people understand Mozart. I think it has a lot to do
yeah.
with it. It's very
Well,
particular. It's interesting.
he, he had me singing falsetto on all of the top notes, right? So I was just doing that. And he said,
Oh
okay,
wow.
stick with that. So after two rehearsals, he said, okay, I want you to keep what you've been doing with that falsetto. He called it head voice and mix with what you were doing
Yeah.
before. Give me the in between. So that's where I ended up. But anyhow, it was an
Interesting. Yeah.
embarrassing but good lesson at the same time about how to be a little more bel canto, even with Die Zauberflöte.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where do you see yourself? Let's say 10 years from now. What do you think you're going to be doing?
Well, that's a good question. I think, I've been really, really blessed, and I'm so grateful for this past year and everything that's happened in this last year alone has been absolutely crazy. And I'm in a great position for somebody of my age. It's something that I acknowledge and I don't take for granted that I'm a young tenor, I'm 26 years old, and I have a lot of time, you know? And so my plan is to take things slowly but surely. And hopefully in 10 years, I will feel great, even better in my voice, and hopefully singing everywhere. That's
Mm-hmm.
the plan. Singing, uh, singing everywhere, big stages around the world, and keep traveling and doing my thing. That's the plan.
I guarantee you will be doing that. I can see that coming for you. So, if you are looking around the world today, tenors that are successful, maybe in the kind of the genre that you see yourself, who would you point to that say, "Yeah, I'm kind of want to go down the path of that guy"?
That's a good question. Tenors that are singing nowadays.
Yeah, you have
Hmm.
guys like Kaufman, you have guys
Yeah,
like Juan Diego Flores, or a little bit
yeah,
before Vargas.
yes,
And of course, a ton of Latino tenors. What the heck is with the
yeah,
explosion of Latino
yeah,
tenors, and you are certainly one of those. So, what do you think? Anybody out there that you kind of think
yeah.
maybe down that road?
I you mentioned Ramon Vargas, and he's kind of, yeah. Out of all those guys that you mentioned, he's for me one of my biggest role models because he started his career steadily, slowly, steadily, and surely, and he sang, the bel canto roles, the light lyric roles, then grew into the lyric roles, and then he's still singing, and he's singing the bigger roles, and he's doing it right, and he's doing it well, and you can tell by the longevity of his voice. He still sounds great. He's in his 60s or something now, right? So he's a great role model as far as that goes, definitely. Um, more recent tenors I really also admired were people like Piotr Beczała, the Polish
Yes,
tenor.
yes.
Um, Back, I saw him like 2017, 2016 or something in Santa Monica do a recital. And when I heard him there, I was like, oh, this is my favorite tenor in the world, probably. Like he was fantastic. The voice was so lined up, and the style is was fantastic. And he just had that star tenor quality that is
Mm-hmm.
something that when you see it, it's there.
Exactly.
And he's also gone through the process and been good at every stage. He started singing the bel canto roles and grew from there and there and there and there. Now he just sang Tannhäuser at the Met, and he's singing anything and everything because he can. Um, so definitely, like out of the more recent tenors, I see myself in those guys. Out of those two, probably Vargas the most. But I think I have a young lyric tenor voice, and I I'm excited to see how it develops and how it grows,
Mm-hmm.
and so what roles I can be singing soon. I think I have like a 5-year plan as far as roles and music and
Okay.
stuff, but we'll see.
Uh
You
huh.
can't plan those things too well.
That's true because usually the roles happen to you instead of you happen to the role. It's just
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
they call you, hey, can you do Nemorino for us in Salzburg or
Right.
something? And
Yeah.
then off you go. And then opera companies around the world hear that was a success. Well, we want him to come here and sing it. So
Right.
frequently you
Right.
end up singing one role everywhere.
Yeah.
I did La Boheme in quite a few places, and that took off for a while. And then
Yeah.
uh,
Fantastic.
give me some, and I can hear you doing that kind of stuff down the road too, because you have body in the sound. I've been listening to all your recordings, and
Thank you.
my son is a fan too. My son is actually a translator in the court, Spanish and English. But he sings a lot of
Oh, wow. Amazing.
lot of mariachi music too. And he's was a fan.
Incredible.
I sent him you, and he's like, "Damn, that kid's good." I'm like, "Yeah, he is." And
That's amazing. That's so cool.
he's from the Inland Empire where your dad's from. So there you go, right?
Amazing. Amazing. There's a very strong, talking about Latin tenors, there's a very strong connection to Latin American music and song, particularly mariachi. I'm not Mexican, but my I feel part Mexican because I grew up in Southern
Of
California and
course.
I
Me too.
know the mariachi culture so well. And it's a beautiful thing. And they produce amazing tenors. They produce amazing tenors because they don't use a microphone and
Mm-hmm.
they have to belt out these wonderful, loud, and beautiful romantic songs. And that just translates so well into the upper stage. And you get people like Rolando Villazón and Arturo Chacón Cruz and Ramon Vargas and all these
Mm-hmm.
guys
Yes,
because that's just in the culture. It's really amazing.
absolutely. Yeah, I think they grow up hearing too that really a fine connection to head voice on the top because they
Yeah,
have to do that Malaga, that kind of
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot, right? And so they're
yeah,
always from a young age they're hearing it and they're like you were imitating the three tenors, right? Well,
yeah.
you're a little
Right.
kid in Mexico, you grow up
Hmm.
hearing that, so you have kind of an instinct on how to access that.
Yes.
uh, I've actually taught several tenors from Mexico that were in mariachi, and just to
Yeah,
watch how they do it is pretty phenomenal.
yeah, yeah. It's
So,
incredible. It's a beautiful art form. Yeah.
so why do you think there are in general so many Latin tenors dominating the world scene? Excuse me.
Well, I think in part it's that, I think that the culture in Latin America lends to, uh, first of all, understanding how to enjoy and partake in very soulful and um, fun and also romantic music. And I think that's kind of the first thing because you tune your ears to be able to know what it is. And then
Mm-hmm.
in our cultures, music and singing is really a pastime. It's like, it's not it's not taboo to sing on the streets, and it's not taboo to sing at
Right.
home or after a meal and or with friends, and it's like part of the culture, right? And so I think that lends to uh, having a lot of people be inclined to pick up um, vocal technique much easier, at least for bel canto. And also, I think the influence of the great Latino and Hispanic tenors of the 20th century, like, um, well, Placido Domingo, Jose Carreras, and people like Luigi Alva, who was Peruvian,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, um, so many amazing tenors. Jaime
Mm-hmm.
Arragal, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Ramon Vinay, one of the great Otellos of all time, Chilean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all these guys, I mean, they were the trailblazers, and that has brought the fine art to Latin America. And now we're seeing the results of their trailblazing and their hard work in the 20th century. And people like me, I get to stand on the shoulders of these giants and get to find my own path in it. It's really a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could
Yeah.
tell you those giants would be thrilled to hear you sing, my friend.
Oh, thank you. That
Yeah,
means a lot. Thank you.
yeah. No,
Thank you.
you've got it going on. Um, let's see. What else did we need to talk about? Well, we did the Latin tenor thing. That's going well. You're from the same area of Southern California that I am from. That's very cool. And maybe someday you'll sing one of my songs because I've written a lot of music and with Spanish.
Yes, I heard. Yes, 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 yes. I was told about that actually,
I'll
and I
send
would
you
love
some.
to
Yeah,
send me some. I would
yeah.
love that. Yeah, I would love to take a look at them for sure.
Recently, one of my mentors passed away, Armando Sierra from Mexico, and this guy won the Met auditions back in like 1976, and
Amazing.
he was the greatest tenor, like a dramatic tenor though,
Yeah.
that I ever heard in my life. It was
Wow.
when I was in the presence of Armando, it felt like you were hearing God sing to you. It had this inspirational, energetic
Wow.
thing about it, a spiritual ingredient. So
Yes.
how he just passed away last week, and I'm going to his funeral
Wow.
Saturday. But he was a big part of talking about Latin tenors and influencing us, right? He was a big part of the influence in my
Yeah.
life. So I just want to thank
That's
you
incredible.
for doing what you're doing, for representing the Inland Empire as you're doing. You're a young superstar in the making here. I'm super proud of
Thank you.
you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on the show today. So, ladies and
No, it's such a
gentlemen,
pleasure.
thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Another Daniel Hendrick presents the Daniel Hendrick Experience. And I just want to thank Anthony León for being with us today. And if you get a chance, check him out. He's everywhere on YouTube, Facebook, and support this young tenor and go see him in Don Giovanni at the LA Opera. And by the way, folks, if you get a chance, go to my website, Daniel Hendrick, and pick up my book, Know You Know, which tells my life story of losing my voice, getting it back, and singing all over the world like this young man's doing right now. That's at danielhendrick.com.
Hmm.
And you can find all of the podcasts. So until next time, God bless you all. Thanks again, Anthony. Good night, everybody.
Una furtiva lagrima negli occhi suoi spuntò. Quelle festose giovani invidiar sembrò. Che più cercando io vo, che più cercando io vo, mamma, sì, mamma, lo un solo istante I palpiti del suo bel cor sentì, I miei sospir confondere per poco a suoi sospir. I palpiti sentir, confondere I miei co suoi sospir. Cielo, si può morir di più, non chiedo, non chiedo. Ah, cielo, si può morir di più, non si può morire